This Windows built-in search can be god awful at finding files you want quickly, if it finds anything at all. Especially in Windows 11, where you have to go past all the newsfeed crap and ads. The Everything app from Voidtools is a much better and faster way to find exactly what you're looking for. This is a free program for Windows that allows you to literally find any file on your system. In this video, I'll be showing you how to use everything and how to get the most out of the app. And I promise you, once you start using it, it will forever change how you use Windows. So the Everything app can be downloaded from Voidtools website. Links will be in the description below, and you'll want to grab the 64-bit installer. There's also a portable version. Now, the latest stable version is 1.4 as of the time of recording this video, but I highly suggest that you go to the downloads page and click on in development and grab the 1.5 alpha build. This 1.5 build has more improved performance and comes with the dark theme. In this video, I will be using the 1.5 build. So I'll grab the 64-bit version of that. Installation is pretty straightforward, and I suggest sticking with the defaults when choosing where to save your settings and configuring the indexing service. Under install options, checking most options to get the most integration in Windows. Installation is complete. And when you open everything for the first time, you'll be presented with this teeny little window listing all the files on your system. And I mean every file, including hidden and system files. This window size is not very practical if you're using a high-res display. So I recommend first going to Tools, Options, and under UI, set the scale to something a little larger. But for YouTube purposes, I'll increase this just a bit more so that you can see what I'm doing. Nice. At the top here in the search box, you can enter a full path or a file or folder name. And everything shows the results near instantaneously. I mean, the speed is absolutely absurd. This indexing service is constantly checking for new files and updates the search results in real time. You can choose which files and folders everything should include or exclude in your search results by customizing the indexes. More on this a little later. You can use standard file patterns in your search. For example, if I just enter the path to C, it will list every single file and folder individually on my C drive. If I add a star or asterisk next to it, this will just show the files and folders directly at the root of my C drive instead of their subfolders. Now you're seeing more in the Everything app because it's also showing hidden files and system files folders. When you double click an item, it'll immediately open that folder path, or in the case of a file, it'll open that file. When you right click an item, you'll get the standard Windows right click context menu, along with some additional context options for everything itself. Open will open a path in Explorer. Explorer in Everything will search that path directly in your current Everything window. Everything provides a slew of filters that you can apply to narrow down your search. I'm going to go to my user folder at C users DeAndre query. And when you have a path with the space in it, you want to surround it with double quotes. And I'm going to adjust these columns a little bit so we can see it lists all the files and folders in my user folder. If I append an asterisk here, we see just the contents at the root of my user folder. Let's say I only wanted to see folders inside my user folder. I could do folder followed by a colon, and I see just folders, no files. Likewise, you can use the file filter, file colon, and it'll show just files. The doc filter, doc colon, will show text-based documents like text files, Word documents, PDFs. There's the image filter, which shows only pictures. Now I don't have any images at the root of my user folder, but if I take off the asterisks, we see we have images in my app data folder, my pictures folder, and this will show all your standard image file types. How about video? Of course, we see all of my videos, and you can do audio. Another useful filter is the EXE filter. which will show executables. These include .exe files, PowerShell files, CMD, and batch scripts. There's also a zip filter, which shows you compressed files or archive files. Let's say I wanted to find all files in my user folder that are MP3 files. I could do the pattern asterisk followed by .mp3, and it lists only MP3 files. The same can be done for other file types like PNG, GIF, and Word documents. You may also use the filter ext followed by file extension like PNG or MP4 or log. You can search multiple extensions by adding a semicolon followed by another extension like txt, and I get txt and log files. If you go to View and click on Filter Bar, you get this little select box where you can easily select between these filters. Another really useful filter is the size filter. Let's say I wanted to see all files larger than 500 megabytes. I can do size greater than 500 M, and we get one result, this video, which is 800 something megabytes. Or if I wanted to see all files smaller than 100 megs. Now, notice I still have the video filter selected here on the filter bar. You can combine these filters to further narrow down your searches. If I selected everything, this will pretty much show basically everything in the folder. But let's say if I wanted to see audio that are less than 500 megs or documents, you get the point. Let's switch to the audio filter, and we're going to look at another filter, the date filter. For dates, we can use the DM filter for date modified, DC for date created, and DA for date accessed. We'll do date modified, and I'm going to look for all files from 2025, so I'll just put 2025 or 2021. We'll see all music files with the date modified 2021. You can use standard date format syntax for the date filters. So if I wanted to further narrow this down, maybe only music files from the 6th day of this month, I can do -0406. And I just get 2 files. There's a couple of handy shortcuts for the date filters. For example, if I wanted to see all files that were modified today, I can use date modified today, and I can see this file and folder were modified, or what about for the year? And so I should see all files modified from 2025 as opposed to previous years. You can enter the name of a month, like April, to see files for that month. How about May? We'll look for video. And we've got one video that has a date modified for May. In everything, you can use the empty filter to show all empty folders. The dupe filter can be used to display all duplicate files and folders. The root filter can be used to display all folders that don't have a parent. This can be done from the menu too by going to View and clicking on Folders. This brings up a file browser where you can browse your entire hard drive, select the folder, and if you uncheck subfolders, it'll just show the contents at the root of that folder. There's the length filter followed by a number like 20, and this will only show files and folders that have a file length of 20 characters, or greater than 20 files and folders with a file length greater than 20. This can also be done with less than, exact, followed by the exact name of a file or folder. I'll put in Filename.txt, and I get one result, one folder. There's case for matching the file name case. In this example, we'll look for Filana lowercase. We'll get 2 results. Uppercase, we get 2 result folders. And no case to ignore case sensitivity, and we get 4 results. If you go to Search, Advanced Search, you can whip up some search recipes whereby once you configure how you want to search and hit OK, not only will everything list the results, but it will also put in the search string that you can use to reference in the future. This will also help you learn how to use many of the built-in filters and everything. In this example, we're listing all files and folders that were modified from the beginning of this year to now that has a size between 100 megs and 500 megs in my user folder. Everything supports and, or, and not operators for combining multiple filters. And is donated with a space or with a pipe. This is the symbol above the enter key, and not with the exclamation mark. Let's start with an example. I'm looking in my main user folder, and I want to search for all files with the name Wylana and file type txt. And I get one result. Let's look at OR. Now I want to see all video files in my user folder along with audio. So I'll do a pipe and put in audio filter. And now I get MP3 files, MP4 files, FLAC files. Let's do video again. And I'm going to filter out this WebM, and I'll use the exclamation mark or not operator for that. So we'll do exclamation point, not star WebM. So as you can see, you can come up with some incredibly complex filters by combining them with the and, or, and not operators. You can create your own filters. Simply go to search and click on organize filters. These are all the filters we looked at in the previous section, and you just click on new. I'd like to create a size filter for video files larger than 500 megs. So I'll call it this. Then we've got some matching options like matching case, words, paths, ignoring white space. But for this one, I'm going to say video size greater than 100 megs. And what's nice about creating filters is you can set which columns to display in the search results. If I click on add, we get a whole bunch of file properties and choose from to display in our search results. I can select on video and scroll down to select video format and add that as a column. I can set the sort order, type, view. Maybe you want to show detail view or thumbnails. And macro. This is the shortcut that you can use in the search box, like we've been using folder : or video : I'll call this big V or big video. And we can set a keyboard shortcut if we want. I'll hit OK, and now I've got my own custom filter. Now I can go up to the filter option and select my filter, and we get one video result. If I go into detail view, we can see it added our video format option, and I can see that the video has a format of H.264. Likewise, I can go into the search box and simply enter big V : and I get the same results. You can select a filter per click by going to view and clicking on filters. This brings up a panel where you can easily select a filter per click. I like mine on the right. Another useful thing in everything is bookmarking, and that also has a panel. I'll go to view, bookmarks. And with bookmarks, you can save searches for later use. For example, if I want quick access to my pictures folder, maybe the root of pictures, I can add this search as a bookmark. And when you do this, it brings up yet another panel where you can further customize the search. And just like with filters, you can set the columns, sort order, and add a macro. You can also select the index. This allows you to choose which search database everything should look through. I'll give it a little image icon. Okay. And I've got my bookmark. Now I should probably name this something a little better. Pictures. And now I can easily jump to my pictures folder. If you go to the bookmarks menu, organize brings up a window where you can manage all your bookmarks, organize them into folders, import and export them. I've gone ahead and added bookmarks to the rest of my media folders, and I can jump to them quite quickly and apply filters. Everything keeps track of your search history. So if you go to history, you can see your most recent searches. If you go to organize search history, everything will list every single search query you've made, along with the search count and date. If you go to tools, options, history, you can enable or disable history and set retention for history. You can set the sort of your history by date, search count, and search. Speaking of history, some handy shortcuts you can use to go back and forth between your searches is to press the Alt key followed by the left or right keys to go back and forth through your previous searches. One of the coolest features of everything is its content search. Instead of searching a file or folder by name or file properties, everything allows you to actually search the contents of a file. If you go to Tools, Options, go down to Content, and enable Index File Content. First thing you'll want to do is set the memory limit. I'll set it to 1 gig, and limit which file types should be supported. By default, we've got Word documents, PDFs, text files, and spreadsheets. I strongly suggest selecting which folders to index, otherwise you could build up a very large database that slows things down. So I'll select my documents folder and my desktop. I'll apply and save. Now consider this. On my desktop, I have a text file called Filana.txt. And inside of that, I have some text. Filana has such a transcendental voice. She is my fave. Let's assume I didn't know where this file was located on my computer, but I knew it had that text in it. I could do content, and I enter part of that text. She is my fave. And sure enough, it gives us one result located on my desktop. If I move the text file into my documents folder, we can see now everything lists it in documents. This content search is absolutely amazing. Just be sure to set some limits so it doesn't hog up resources. All right, let's look at customizing your search index. Want to go to Tools, Options, and go to Indexes. All search data and information about the files everything knows about is stored in a database. If you go to the path in File Explorer, there is an everything DB file. And you can expect this file to grow in size as you use everything over time. For each type of disk format, like NTFS, you can select a drive. At the top here, this include new fixed volumes. This is when you insert a flash drive or USB hard drive, they'll automatically be indexed, meaning you can start searching their files immediately. One thing I like to point out too in this options menu here is every option, if you hover over, tells you exactly what the option does. Down here, you can include or exclude the drive from being indexed. Uncheck this. I no longer have results because I've just told everything not to index my C drive. And since it's the only drive that's connected on my computer, I get nothing. Having your entire C drive indexed isn't very practical. So one thing you can do is set which folders to include. Here I've included just my user folder. And if you go down to exclude, you can select folders to exclude from the search, files to include, and files to exclude. One folder I'd like to exclude from my searches is my app data folder inside my user folder. So I'll exclude that entire folder. And this should leave me with everything just searching my C drive, but just my user folder, everything in that folder except the app data folder. I hit apply. Only files and folders listed in my user folder are listed. And if you don't want everything to show hidden in system files, you can check these to exclude those folders. Everything supports NTFS drives, FAT32 drives, 3FS, and network drives. Now, network drives are disabled by default, but you can enable them. Just be careful because network shares with lots of files can eat up a lot of memory when everything is indexing them. The network indexes allows you to manage indexes from everything servers. And I'll do a video later showing you how to set that up. But this is where you can go and manage those indexes. And then there's property indexing. Let's talk about property indexing. If you click on add, like we've seen before, you can tell everything to load additional information or metadata about files it indexes. When you index a property, such as a video's frame rate, everything will check every video and index their frame rate. I'll go ahead and select that frame rate. We can set which folders to look through, which folders to exclude, and most importantly, which file types everything should property index for frame rate. Then I'm going to go ahead and add a column here, organize columns. I'm going to add a video frame rate property to my column and then say OK on this property index. What'll happen is everything will start indexing those files. And if I do a filter for a video, you can see we've got that property display. I'll add video dimensions to get the resolution of videos and images. And now I have extended information at a glance without having to view properties of a file or open the file in a separate program. Depending on the size of your search database, property indexing can eat up a lot of memory, but this is yet another nice feature of the program. One thing to be aware of when using this program is that everything does not distinguish between user folders, meaning it will list every single file on a computer, even from other users on that system. The Everything app is a great utility and all. Having to search in a dedicated window isn't always convenient. Everything Toolbar is an application that lets you search with everything directly in your taskbar. It's by a completely different developer, and it even supports the latest 1.5 alpha build. I'll have a link to this GitHub page in the description below. We'll go ahead and install this. Installation takes seconds. After installation, go ahead and search for everything and pin to taskbar. You click it, it brings up a search box that you can use to search everything with. So I can search for a video. Now, if you're using the 1.5 alpha build, there's an extra step you'll need to do. After installation, you want to go to Preferences and set instance name. Brings up this tiny box where you should enter 1.5a. This will tell Everything Toolbar to look for the 1.5 alpha instance. Then, back at the search box, you can start searching like you would in the Everything app. You can filter by all files and folders, just files, folders, and it has all the default filters. What's nice is that if you go to the menu, Preferences, Everything Toolbar can use the same filters as the Everything app. Click on Use Everything Filters and go to App Data, Roaming, Everything. And I don't know why it doesn't show it, but it will not show the CSV file. So click on All Files and select Filters CSV. We go back to Everything Toolbar. I can see my custom filters. Other options include showing the thumbnails, hide empty searches, remember your last filter, and some viewing options like compact mode and detail view, which gives you more information about each search result. And of course, if you use Start All Back like I do, you can bring up the little search box directly in the taskbar and get to your searching. Man, I swear, people swore to me up and down how awesome this application was. And I'll admit, I was a non-believer for the longest time, but I've seen the light. Everything is a damn good utility and a must-have for Windows power users. So that's everything. Check it out.